All right, in this explainer, we are going to unpack one of the most chilling and powerful phrases in all of literature. It's the absolute key to understanding the terrifying philosophy behind George Orwell's masterpiece, 1984. So let's jump right into this central puzzle of the book, right? You've got the world of Oceania, a dystopia that is completely and deliberately godless. I mean, even a hint of religious belief is a serious crime. So why on earth would the party turn around and use the word God in its ultimate expression of power? And what makes this even more puzzling is the man himself. George Orwell was a sharp critic of organized religion, so you just know this choice was incredibly deliberate. He's making a very specific point here. Yeah, that phrase, God is power, it just feels so jarring, doesn't it? Especially in a society where even thinking about God is a one-way ticket to trouble. So let's really dig in and explore why Orwell put this bombshell right at the very heart of his dystopia. Okay, to really get the full impact of this slogan, we have to first understand just how truly godless Oceania was. The party didn't just, discourage religion. They actively hunted it down. And their ultimate tool for this was the whole concept of thought crime. I mean, think about that. It meant that your own internal, unspoken thoughts could get you arrested. And having a belief in a higher power, well, that was the ultimate thought crime because it was a direct challenge to the party's absolute authority. There's this one chilling little story in the book that shows this perfectly. A poet gets arrested. And his crime? Well, he was rewriting a poem and he got stuck trying to find a rhyme for the word rod. The only word he could think of was God. And for that one single word, he was taken away. But here's the crazy thing. Despite that extreme repression, the word God actually appears 8 times in the novel. And almost all of those appearances are in that final, brutal section, all building towards one terrifying revelation. So let's go there now. Let's step into that infamous interrogation room at the Ministry of Love. This is where the party's chief ideologue, O'Brien, finally reveals the true meaning of everything to our hero, Winston Smith. So O'Brien first confirms that Winston is an atheist. But even after being broken and tortured, Winston is clinging to one last little bit of hope. It's not God, but it's what he calls the spirit of man. And O'Brien just smiles at this, because he reveals that crushing that very spirit of man is the party's entire purpose. See, they don't want to rule humanity, they want to become humanity. They want to replace every single source of meaning, of hope, of belief that a person could ever have. And then he lays out the party's core beliefs, its doctrine. First, he says, true power isn't individual, it's collective. You only get power by completely merging with the immortal party. Second, power isn't just about controlling your body, it's about controlling your mind. And third, this absolute power takes the place of God. Now listen to the words O'Brien uses here because this is fascinating. He says, we are the priests of power. He is being 100% literal. The party isn't a political movement anymore. It's a new church. And guys like him in the inner circle, they're the high priests of a new terrifying religion. And this really shows the party's whole method. They basically co-opt the entire framework of religious devotion, that human need to worship, to love, to obey. They don't get rid of it, they just redirect it. God gets replaced by Big Brother, and faith gets replaced by absolute loyalty to the party. And this brings us to the party's final terrifying goal. It's not just about control, it's about complete conversion. They don't just want Winston's obedience, they want his soul. They want to completely remake his mind. After all that relentless torture, we see Winston's old self just start to crumble. He's sitting in a cafe, mindlessly tracing words in the dust on the table. He starts with one of the party's main slogans, writing "Freedom is slavery" without even a second thought. Then he writes, 2 and 2 make 5. And this is such a crucial step. It means he has finally accepted the party's power to rewrite not just history, but objective reality itself. His mind is just not his own anymore. And then, finally, it comes. He writes the phrase that O'Brien taught him, God is power. At that moment, his conversion is complete. He no longer just fears the party or obeys the party, he believes in its truth. That phrase isn't just a slogan to him anymore, it is a statement of faith. So what does this all mean for us? This is the whole point, right? Orwell wasn't just writing a scary story. He was issuing a very, very detailed warning about totalitarianism and the corrupting nature of absolute power. And he basically lays out the playbook for how to put this God is power philosophy into practice. And some of these things might sound a little familiar. You've got strict surveillance. Remember, they watched Winston for 7 years before they even arrested him. Then there's constant propaganda to control all the information. You use the fear of a perpetual, never-ending war to unite everybody. And finally, you exercise mental control to eliminate any and all thought crime. So the ultimate warning here is crystal clear. Whenever any political group demands the kind of total, unquestioning devotion that people usually reserve for a god, it is a very dangerous path that always, inevitably, leads to oppression and the destruction of society. Which leaves us with a final and pretty chilling question to chew on. When a political system stops asking for your vote and starts demanding your worship, has it crossed a line into something else entirely? That's the question Orwell leaves us with. And, it's just as relevant today as it was back in 1949.